This is lecture 37 on the economics of coastal land buyouts. I'm going to talk about one-sided coins, and of course I'm going to talk about climate change adaptation. So Hurricane Sandy caused great damage to the northeast coast in late October 2012. I believe that climate change is going to make such storms more likely, and it's not rocket science to predict that coastal property owners are going to get hit again and again with hurricanes and flooding. As this new news is capitalized into real estate prices, current owners of the properties are going to suffer an asset loss because the new news is capitalized, and these homes will be less valuable. An effort is underway. There's discussions about sort of a managed retreat from Mother Nature. If we moved more inland, if we could build natural buffer zones with land that we've evacuated, it would be easier to adapt to climate change, as we'd create sort of this flood zone to protect ourselves from future storms. So as the New York Times front page today announces, New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo is a man with a plan. And here's a photo of the governor. Of course, his father was governor. Here's his plan. And there's interesting economics here. Governor Cuomo plans to use federal subsidy money, so disaster relief money, to purchase coastal homes. Sort of like a nature conservancy. He wants to take a large pot of money, federally subsidized, so that's people like me, California taxpayers. Part of our federal taxes are going to go to this pot of money to purchase New York Northeast coastal real estate. The interesting thing, reported on the front page of today's New York Times, is he plans to pay the pre-storm value for homes. So imagine this. So suppose you owned a $300,000 coastal property in New York, and after Hurricane Sandy, it's now worth $150,000. His plan, an economist would say, the value of this home is $150,000, its current market price. Andrew Cuomo wants to sort of turn back time, sort of like Cher's old song, and he wants to pay these households the original pre-storm value of, in my example, $300,000. The homeowners would love this. Effectively, they're not bearing the incidence of the disaster. So they would be winners from this. Climate change adaptation would be a winner from the Cuomo policy, because it will be easier for the Northeast to adapt if there is a flood zone, if there's a natural capital, sort of like barrier reefs, protecting the coasts against flooding. But the losers are the rest of America's taxpayers, because the money spent and handed for free to these coastal homeowners could have been spent on something else, on military defense, on better roads, environmental protection, on poor kids' education. So there's a classic economic incidence issue here of Governor Cuomo trying to protect his homeowners who made the mistake ex post of buying property and investing their life savings in a flood zone. So I call this the one-sided coin. Coin usually has two sides, heads and tails, but in this case, the coastal homeowners are being allowed to flip a one-sided coin. So if home prices had gone up in these areas, these folks would have been able to keep the economic gains that they're now enjoying. But because home prices have gone down, the individuals, these lucky individuals who are unlucky enough to experience Hurricane Sandy, are now being offered a bailout at the pre-disaster prices. And so this is what I mean by flipping the one-sided coin. In my opinion, it's pretty convenient for the governor to be protecting his people in this way. Because again, when you buy an asset, you're taking a gamble. The Super Bowl just occurred. For people who bet on San Francisco, they would love to have government subsidize their loss. So if San Francisco had won, they would have cashed their Las Vegas winnings. But now that San Francisco has lost, they want their money back. I see no difference between Super Bowl betting and these coastal property owners. I support climate change adaptation and purchasing land along these coasts, but I don't see why federal money should be purchasing it at the pre-shock value. If the current home is worth $150,000, you could give these folks an extra 5% of that, $7,500, to incentivize them to sell, but I see no reason to offer the full pre-market value. This is an extreme example of economic